If you are an aspiring filmmaker like me, then you probably have a dream camera, a camera that you think about several times a week. You watch endless videos on YouTube about the camera. You feel like you know this camera inside and out, and it's kind of stolen a piece of your heart, right? It becomes so unbearable that you just have to have it. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, being a little bit dramatic, but for me, that's how I felt about the Sony FX3. Now, at its steep price point, it's not a camera that most people just pick up on a whim. It's a camera that's meant to be pushed to the limit and fully utilized, right? And so friends, that's what led me to make this video. I just wanted to talk to you guys about why I picked up the Sony FX3 in 2025, and maybe some of the reasons will resonate with you. So the first reason is that the Sony FX3 is a full frame cinema camera. So a little background: as a portrait and wedding photographer, I'm no stranger to full frame camera bodies. And for that reason, I have a ton of lenses I use depending on the project that I'm working on. This means that when I slap on a lens, I know exactly what I'm getting. Pairing that with one of my goals for the year, which is getting into filmmaking and videography a lot more, I have a huge leg up when it comes to lenses to start out with, because I have my workhorse 24-70, my 50, my 85 for portraits. I've got my 35 for your more environmental portraits, and even my 70-200 for headshots and weddings where I need an extra reach and things like that. So now I can use my experience with these focal lengths when making films. And I'm just a lot more comfortable, honestly, when it comes down to using full frame lenses at this point. I don't have to guess. I don't have to test lenses out to see how they might look on an APS-C camera body. It's just something that I just already know. And if you've been watching my channel for some time, that you know that I do own a couple Sony APS-C camera bodies, including the FX30, and along with them, I do own a few APS-C lenses as well. And while using the FX30 will certainly work well for a ton of projects, there is something to be said about having its full frame big brother, the FX3. And along with that, several of the benefits that it has over the FX30, like higher dual native ISO ranges, better low light performance, better shallow depth of field, and then combined with the fact that the majority of the cameras that I own are full frame, I can take advantage of the lenses that I already have in order to get started and start working on future projects. So reason number 2 is that the Sony FX30 doesn't overheat and there are no record limits on it. Now, coming from recording videos on other camera bodies back in my Canon days and more recently shooting with my Sony a7R III, I've had to deal with recording time limits nearly every time I recorded, and honestly became pretty annoying to have my video stop recording. Making YouTube videos can take a lot of time, and usually when I mess up, I just keep going until I get the take that I feel is good. And then of course, then I just edit out the mistakes on the back end. And there have been situations where my camera has literally stopped recording at the worst possible moment, or right after I got into my groove making my YouTube video. And secondly, this year, I would love to create some wedding films and get my feet wet in that arena. And there is just no way that I can rely on the new Sony a7 IVs that I just picked up, because I've heard that some people, not all, have had overheating issues. And if I plan to shoot wedding films, having a camera that will not overheat and does not have a recording limit is an absolute must. And I know that there isn't really a recording limit on the Sony a7 IV, but there is the risk of it overheating. Now, pairing the FX3 with my FX30 and the Sony a7 IV as a C camera, I don't have anything to worry about. Reason number 3 is that the Sony FX3 comes with an XLR top handle. And the top handle, basically has XLR ports, which makes it easy to connect pro microphones without using an external recorder. Usually I'm using my Zoom F3 if I'm using an XLR microphone. Now, one of the things that you probably already know is that having great audio is more important than having great video. Bad audio can ruin a project, whereas low quality visuals are a bit more forgiving, right? This means that it's perfect for my wedding films, and it saves me time on my YouTube videos because I don't have to sync my audio. And since my XLR microphone can sit right on top of the camera, it's perfect for when I don't want to, boom a mic up overhead or clip on a lav mic or things like that. Reason number 4 is that the Sony FX3 can be as compact as you want it to be, and it's also rig friendly as well. So one of the things that I do like about the FX3 is its cageless design. You can use it with accessories that you need right away without buying a cage, which means you can keep your camera set up nice and lean for running gun projects, or if that's just your style. But for me, there are times where I do want a minimal setup, and other times like when I'm filming at home, where being able to rig up my camera with a monitor, a V-mount battery, top handle, etc., I can do that and not have a care in the world about power or being close to an outlet to keep my camera juiced up or my monitor powered. I can just sit down and film for literally as long as it takes and not have to swap batteries. I can move my camera around where I need it and just continue filming. And unlike bulkier cinema cameras that are out there, the FX3 does work great in gimbal setups as well, and also handheld rigs as well, if that's your thing. Reason number 5 is the insane low light performance. Low light performance is, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to grab the FX3. Aside from just being able to use my full frame lenses that I'm familiar with without all the guesswork and the shallower depth of field, I get to use this full frame body, right? Creating wedding films and other projects I hope to get into this year, and being able to shoot in low light situations, to me, it's crucial. And for me, when photographing weddings, there have been times where there just isn't enough light and I need to open up my aperture, or more than likely switch to a faster lens with a lower f-stop to keep shooting, and getting those high quality photos. And so shooting video is really no different. If I'm going to shoot a wedding film, especially being newer to it, I don't want my gear to be a limitation. Sure, I can, add light, which in many situations, it's what I would do. But when you can't add light, the low light performance is just so much better than the FX30. And touching on the dual native ISO that I talked about earlier, there is a big difference between the two. Both the FX30 and the FX3 have dual native ISOs, which means that there are 2 base ISO settings that are going to, get the cleanest image with the most dynamic range. And for the FX30, it's 800 and 2500, and with the FX3, it's 800 and 12,800. That's a massive difference, and you can really see the difference when you're filming. Reason number 6 is that getting the FX3 has really motivated me to create. Having the best gear doesn't make you a better videographer or filmmaker. There are so many more things that are more important than the gear itself, but if you're like me, sometimes getting your hands on a nice piece of gear that you've been dreaming about for years, it just fires you up inside and it pushes you to want to learn more, to hone your skills, become a better filmmaker overall. And for me, that's learning how to tell stories better, keep my projects fresh and interesting, make sure my videos are exciting and captivating, and learning new skills and trying them out, learning new editing tricks and things that I haven't used in the past. Just overall, I'm just really looking forward to using the FX3 this year on a ton of projects, and I'm just even more excited about it now because I have this beast in my hands. So those are my reasons for getting the FX3. Obviously, there are other reasons as well, but I wanted to keep this list a little bit short to not make a super duper long video. Now, I'm curious to hear from you. What were some of the reasons you picked up the Sony FX3? Or if you've been thinking about getting the FX3, what is it about it that is really making you want to pick it up? Leave me a comment below and let's chat about it. Now, if you like this video, definitely hit the like button for me. And if you haven't subscribed already, why not? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more videos just like this one. I make videos on videography, photography, YouTube videos, and of course, camera gear. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more videos just like that. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you then.